The iconic food storage container brand Tupperware has been facing significant challenges. The situation looks dire from virtually every perspective. The organization's revenue has been declining steadily, nearly halving over the past 10 years. Its stock market valuation has plummeted during this period, falling from $95 per share to under $1. In April 2023, an SEC document revealed that without securing additional funding, the business might cease operations. Subsequently, they brought in financial consultants to address the crisis and restructured their debt. However, Tupperware ultimately declared bankruptcy in September 2024, reporting liabilities exceeding $1 billion against assets of only $680 million, a worrying imbalance. The media understandably seized this moment to publish clever headlines like, "The celebration has ended," or "Tupperware reveals its monetary struggles." I appreciate that second one. Truthfully, I find it disappointing when such a legendary, even groundbreaking brand experiences this fate. You might be surprised to hear me describe it this way, but I'm being completely sincere. There's tremendous merit in Tupperware's story. In this analysis, I want to explore the brand's origins while identifying what I consider the 5 primary factors contributing to its downfall, beginning with Tupperware gatherings, possibly the single most important element in both their success and their collapse. This entire story is fascinating. Quick favor, if you found this video interesting, subscribing helps us cover more rise and fall stories like this. Kinda do please. Origins and innovation. The brand takes its name from creator Earl Tupper, who established a plastics manufacturing business in the 1930s. He achieved success in the 1940s during World War II by producing plastic components for military gas masks. After the war ended, he redirected his attention towards civilian consumers by creating the plastic food preservation containers bearing his name. While I can't explain the precise scientific details, existing plastics were dark, fragile, and had unpleasant odors. Tupper's new plastic formula was transparent, sturdy, and odor-free. Additionally, he developed a proprietary sealing mechanism inspired by paint can lids. The result was an exceptionally practical product line for food preservation. The challenge of innovation. The problem was these containers were so innovative and unprecedented that customers felt apprehensive about having plastic in their homes, particularly in contact with their food. They were puzzled by the novel lid seal and generally unreceptive to the whole concept. The party solution. The answer was organizing Tupperware gatherings to familiarize people with the product and showcase its benefits. After World War II, unprecedented numbers relocated to suburban areas to establish families. There was a population boom, and numerous women remained home full-time, caring for children and managing households. These conditions were ideal for a business called Stanley Home to begin hosting gatherings demonstrating and marketing their cleaning supplies. Among their demonstrators was an exceptionally talented saleswoman named Brownie Wise. She realized this approach would work brilliantly for Tupperware, so she launched her own operation selling Tupperware at gatherings. Earl Tupper then recruited her as vice president of marketing to formally implement this sales approach, which rapidly became somewhat of a phenomenon. Brownie Wise became the public face of the brand. She notably became the first woman featured on Business Week's cover, and within several years, thousands of independent representatives were hosting these events. To clarify, they weren't Tupperware employees but earned commissions on sales, with top performers receiving various incentives and rewards. I'd say this was genuinely innovative for that era. It provided women an enjoyable way to earn supplementary income while maintaining their households and promoting a beneficial new product. The exclusive way to purchase Tupperware was through these entertaining home gatherings. The decline of the party model. However, this marketing approach has become increasingly ineffective. Significantly more women are employed, and I doubt many remain intimidated by plastic food containers. Under these circumstances, reducing dependence on direct sales and redirecting energy toward more mainstream channels like retail outlets and online platforms, where most consumers purchase such items, will be logical. I don't mean to be overly harsh, but this seems fairly straightforward, right? Yet Tupperware has been exceptionally slow to adapt. When these gatherings gained momentum in the early 1950s, they withdrew their product from retail stores and didn't seriously attempt to return until recent years. They only began selling in Target stores in 2022 and Macy's in 2024. During the 1990s, the company actually prohibited independent representatives from selling online, claiming in-person demonstrations were far superior to anything achievable through the internet. They did launch their own website eventually, but never substantially. Even now, only 13% of their products appear on their website, and they don't begin Amazon sales until 2022. In their bankruptcy documents, they acknowledge these mistakes, but I think nearly everyone would consider these changes insufficient and overdue. Intensifying competition. Another factor in their decline is competition from multiple sources. As mentioned, when initially launched decades ago, Tupperware was a unique product, arguably superior to any alternative available. That's no longer true today. In the 1980s, Rubbermaid began offering similar products, significantly dividing the market for the first time. That market has since fragmented in numerous directions. The term Tupperware has become nearly interchangeable with food storage containers. People use that word to describe any such container, correct? Before watching this, you might not have known Tupperware was an actual brand rather than a generic term, which creates problems for them. Imagine when someone searches Tupperware online, the results feature competing brands. It's reached a point where Tupperware no longer distinguishes itself as it once did and has largely been overshadowed. Additionally, in the 1990s, Gladware introduced disposable containers. Ziploc soon followed, and together they captured a substantial market segment, being typically less expensive and more practical. Quality versus convenience. Tupperware, from what I can determine, has consistently been a high-quality product designed for longevity. People genuinely value these items. It almost sounds humorous, but they'd hand them down to their children. I'm certain some viewers have Tupperware at home that's been in their family for generations. Let me know if that describes you. And if you ever gave someone food in a Tupperware container, you absolutely expected that container back. But sometimes you simply want to place food in something without worrying about the container. It's convenient to discard it when it's finished. When disposable containers were gaining popularity in the early 2000s, Tupperware stated they never considered manufacturing that product type. Their CEO then said, "I'm holding a disposable pen. I'll misplace 2 or 3 times a week, but my pens are quality pens. I always know their location." While this might be a reasonable argument, retrospectively, it's difficult to view this as anything except a missed opportunity. Corporate transitions. Another possible reason for decline would be corporate acquisitions. There's extensive history here. In 1958, founder Earl Tupper dismissed Brownie Wise. He was preparing to sell the business and apparently felt she was too vocal, making the sale easier without her involvement. He sold it that year for $16 million to Rexall Drug, which later became Dart Industries. Losing 2 key figures in 1 year was significant. In 1980, Dart Industries merged with Kraft, among the largest U.S. mergers at that time, but they separated in 1986. A decade afterward, Tupperware was spun off independently, which is how they've operated since. That's considerable history. I'm theorizing that all this was distracting and potentially damaging to the brand. Shortly after the Kraft merger, everything deteriorated for Tupperware, especially domestically. By 1992, most sales originated from international markets, and they haven't regained their domestic position, with under 1/3 of their 2022 sales from North America. When Dart and Kraft separated, one primary reason was likely Tupperware's underperformance, to the extent that Kraft wanted no association with it. After Tupperware became independent, they began acquiring unrelated businesses, mostly beauty products. The most significant example was a $560 million transaction with Sara Lee in 2005, prompting them to rename the company Tupperware Brands Corporation to reflect their multiple brands. Again, one could argue this was distracting, diverting Tupperware from their core business, possibly even abandoning it somewhat to pursue new ventures. External pressures. My next reason is probably less critical than others, but I should mention some external factors complicating matters. Their CEO stated the company's financial situation has been severely affected by the difficult economic climate, referencing inflation and interest rates. The pandemic likely played a role. Fewer gatherings meant fewer Tupperware sales, along with increased material costs, specifically for plastic resin. There are also growing environmental concerns regarding plastic. However, I want to emphasize that conditions had already declined significantly before the pandemic. So it may have worsened the situation, but definitely isn't the fundamental problem. Stagnation. My final reason is brief and essentially summarizes everything discussed. But Tupperware is obsolete. The invention, the gatherings, the brand, everything about it was once innovative and impressive, but regrettably, none of it has substantially evolved over the years. Tupperware hasn't adequately responded to competition, reacted to cultural shifts, or adapted to consumer preferences or market changes. It's as though they believed so strongly in what they established that they feared modifying anything and damaging it. The uncertain future. Currently, they're requesting court permission to sell the company, hopefully maintaining the brand and continuing operations. But unfortunately, it's reached a stage where I don't believe many people would particularly care if the brand vanished. Tell me if you disagree. But brand loyalty isn't nearly as powerful as previously, and there are countless substitutes and alternatives for food storage containers. It'll be intriguing to observe how everything unfolds and whether the Tupperware brand can rebuild, though it'll be quite a journey. Let me know your thoughts about Tupperware as a brand. Do you find it more attractive than competitors? Do you consider it worth the cost? Perhaps you think it's too difficult to locate, or maybe you didn't realize it existed as a brand until today. Tell me if that's the case. How do you feel about this bankruptcy? Personally, I regret seeing it happen, but simultaneously, I find nothing particularly shocking about it. Maintaining relevance and appeal for so long is challenging, and Tupperware simply didn't take the necessary actions to achieve that. Share any additional thoughts about Tupperware in the comments. I'd appreciate hearing your perspective. Thank you for watching.